Hey musicians, welcome back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about seventh chords. So we've talked about triads before in the past, which is just a chord that has three notes to it. A root, a third, and a fifth. But the next step in chord world is talking about four-note chords, and the most common type of four-note chord is a seventh chord. Basically, we're taking our original triad and we're just adding the seventh of the scale. But there are different kinds of seventh chords. Depending on what kind we're going to be using, we might use the major 7 as it naturally occurs in the scale. We might use the flatted 7, or sometimes we might get crazy and do a diminished chord that has a double flatted 7. We won't worry about that one for right now. But the most common type of chord is the dominant 7th chord. So that's the one we're going to be looking at today. So what a dominant 7th chord is it's our normal triad, and then we add a flatted 7th to it. This flatted 7th is important. This is what actually makes this what we call a functional chord. It's functional because it serves a specific purpose. That flatted 7th in the chord has a kind of tonal magnetic pull towards the next chord. If I play this, we expect something to happen after that. So some chords don't necessarily have this effect. For instance, if I just played the G triad, the chord just sits there. It doesn't sound like it needs to go anywhere. But if I add the 7th to it, now there's a little bit of tension that's created that makes us want to hear what the next chord is. And that's the powerful effect of a dominant 7th chord, is that it pulls us into the next chord. So what is the next chord? Well, the next chord is almost always going to a 4 of whatever chord you just played. So if you're on a G chord, and we play a G7 with that flatted 7 in there, that flatted 7 is going to pull our ear towards the C. G, A, B, C, it's going up to the 4th. And that's what our ear expects to hear when we hear a dominant 7th chord. All dominant 7th chords will have this effect. If I do it in A, it wants to go up to the D. A, B, C sharp, D. It wants to go up to the 4th note of the scale, or the 4th chord in our key. The flatted 7 is not actually leading to the 4, it's leading to the 3rd note of that 4 chord. So if we look at the 3 notes in a G chord, we have G, B, and D. So if we have a G dominant 7, then it's going to be G, B, D, and our flatted 7 now, which is F, F natural. So this F in our G chord, or the flatted 7 in our G chord, pulls down to the E, or the 3rd degree, of our C chord. There's our G7, and that flatted 7 goes down a half step to the E that's in our C chord. So look what happens if we take the C and we go down from this C dominant 7th. It's going to go to, again, the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, D, E, F. The 4th degree of the scale, or the 4th chord in this key, is going to be F. So we have C, C dominant 7, and F. This dominant 7 has this flatted 7 in here, the B flat in our C7 chord. Leads down to this A, or the 3rd degree of our F chord. Let's do another example. If we have an A chord, this G note, which is the flatted 7th of our A dominant 7th chord, pulls down a half step to our D chord. Goes from the G down to the F sharp that's in our D chord. And that's how dominant 7th chords work. So if we were to take this dominant 7th chord and go to the next chord that it magnetically pulls to, what if we turned it into a dominant 7th chord now? and it would pull down to the next one. Let's see what happens there. So we have G, we have G7, which is going to pull us into a C. But what if we go to a C7? That's going to pull us to an F. And if we play an F7, that's going to pull us to a B flat. And if we have a B flat 7, that's going to pull us to an E flat. And if we have an E flat 7, that's going to pull us to an A flat. So if we have an A flat 7, we can keep going around the circle like this. I have an entire book on the circle of fifths, which goes more in depth on any of this than you could ever want to know. It's chock full of information. It's a good read. Check it out. Some swing and jazz will actually use this effect of going around the circle in part of the song. They will actually have a chord progression that follows multiple dominant seventh chords. It's really not uncommon to see this in swing and jazz songs, an actual piece of the circle used as part of that song. We have C, and then we start this circle going on A7, then we go D7, G7, C, and maybe a C7 to get back to it. Well, thanks for stopping by and checking out this short video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.